So one thing I've noticed is that there isn't just one place for every single unqualified RFA that's now a UFA going into the free agency. And obviously that's just happened where the deadline to qualify has just ended. So here's every single one of them. Pretty much it's going to sort by skaters first, by the amount of points they got in the NHL last season. So it's in really that order, so a lot of defenders are going to be last. And then we'll go through all the goalies. So first off is Dominic Cahoon. Just didn't do as well as he did with the Blackhawks last year. Actually, probably would have ended up with the same points roughly if the season didn't stop. He had 31 by the end, and his first season had 37. He's not been kept on by the Buffalo Sabres, so someone's good to go at the UFA side of things, and no need for an arbitrator there. Senators haven't re-upped Anthony Duclair. Apparently he was his own agent and decided to represent himself. And even though there was a significant raise, as the Senators say, they couldn't get a deal done, and they were really worried that if it went to an arbitrator, it would be quite an expensive price tag for 2 years. So he's off to free agency. Andreas Athanasiou. Oh boy, this is a rough one because that's 2 second rounders that went to the Red Wings for free, pretty much. They didn't win around. They didn't do much with him, so yep, he's off to free agency. Obviously, they were a bit scared of his hit. Even though he wasn't coming off the best season, he was making $3 million a year, so I think they would have given him a raise if it went to arbitration. So, see you later. Lucas Warmark. This was an interesting one because a lot of these real low-end ones people are sort of retaining. He only got 25 points last season, 28 the season before that. Isn't much of a center noted in this league, and also didn't really make much last year, which is usually the things that you look at for arbitration. So clearly the Panthers just didn't want to keep him anymore. So he's off. It's my team. Dominic Simon is no longer a Penguin. I kind of thought this might happen, especially if there's an internal cap and they need to save a bit of money. Plus, everyone was kind of hoping within the organization he would make that little bit of a next step. We all kind of knew what his ceiling was, but just maybe hoping he could be a 40-point-a-year player. He never really became that, so they didn't qualify him. Someone that I made, this would have been one of my first videos out, is that I said I don't think Troy Stetcher stays as a Vancouver Canuck. Just when you look at their just general cap thing before going into this. So I'm not surprised they haven't retained him. I feel like he would have got a little bit in arbitration, especially being a defenseman. Had a bit of an off year last year, but at the same time, you kind of understand it. By the way, the one thing I've seen in common is that there's a lot of people that are age 26 in this bracket, so it's kind of like the people that have got to this mark and haven't really worked out, so they're just sending them off. But that's a good defender on any team. Carter Verhaeghe from the Tampa Bay Lightning, obviously just won a cup. He just got the same treatment. Not so surprising with this one, especially seeing that he was a center left wing. They pretty much throughout the playoffs played with 7D, and he only got 8 playoff games. You kind of understand with their cap and how far up against it they just can't afford anything, and to go to an arbitrator with someone who won a Stanley Cup may cost you just a little bit more, or they just didn't want to be bothered working this out, or they just couldn't fit him in full stop. So he's off free agency. I understand this one. Devin Shaw, who I thought was 34 for some reason. There's some players that are just you always think you're young, and there's some players that you're you're in your mid-30s. You don't need to be qualified, but there you go. You needed to be qualified. So, from the Blue Jackets, they decided not to re-up with him. Obviously, he hasn't worked out for anyone, really, after a second-round pick. Just never really became anything that anyone thought he would end up being. So, I think his time in the league is winding down. So, this makes sense. Freddie Gauthier, Toronto Maple Leafs, again, makes complete sense, this one, just because of everything that has happened with this team trying to move out from under this sort of thing. They've re-signed Spezza. He just never really fit in this team, and he's just such a big body too. He's such a big guy that doesn't play big. I feel like Like, that's the thing, a 6'5", I think he's like 6'5" or 6'4" or something like that. That's what the Leafs are screaming out for, is a fourth liner that's big-bodied and ready to rock and roll, but he just never really was that. Like, he tried to, I don't know, play this weird finesse game, but, like, yeah, in the times that I saw him, he didn't know what he wanted to be, and I think his time is growing to an end in the NHL. He's kind of sealing his fringe player. Travis Boyd, another player that I thought was like 30 or 32 or something like that. He's actually 27, but when it was going to be qualified, he would have been 26. So, thus still being in that gap. Yeah, one of those players that I didn't think would get that much if it went to arbitration. So clearly they don't want to have to deal with it. Split his time between the NHL and AHL for a fair bit amount of time. Most points in a year is 20. He wasn't going to get a huge payday, but obviously the Capitals just wanted to move on, so I understand that one. Evan Rodriguez, not a great season last year. 40 points, 10 points, in about 45 games. It was injury plagued throughout the year, but never really progressed from that 25 to 29 point season. The Penguins certainly weren't gonna qualify him, and then he was obviously part of the deal to the Leafs before, and they've decided not to re-up him. So obviously they wanted a whack at the Pugliard to see if they can get him for cheap. Didn't really happen. They couldn't sell him on it, so he's off to free agency. Now we start getting a little bit of territory of like, who is that? Jace Harlock, I think that's how you say his name. Ottawa Senators. He got moved through from Florida Panthers in the last season. Has 22 points in total in the NHL in 68 games. 24 years old, again, probably just don't want to deal with it, so didn't qualify him. This one's a bit of a shock because this team isn't exactly defense heavy. And I remember a few years ago, the Oilers thought this guy was going to be like the bee's knees, Matthew Benning. But he's been unqualified. Obviously had a bit of a down year last year, but I think can bounce back and be a handy, 5-6 guy for a team. Maybe even a top 4 if he can get everything together, but I just thought it was odd that they moved on from him. Obviously, with their cap situation, they may not want to go down this road. Similar with Athanasiou, so they've just moved on. But just a bit odd that this was an odd name because I remember a few years ago, man, like he was really touted to be something and just never really worked out to be that. Marco Mueller is the next one. Never really did very much in the NHL. Just really looking back at that first, it was a first overall pick at San Jose, just never really got off the ground. The most points he's had in the season is 11, 28 points total, and he is, he's obviously a defender, but just never really been a good defensive defenseman either, just not really part of anything. Huge minus, which you always, take with a bit of a grain of salt, but just never really got it together. Even at the AHL level, didn't exactly set the world on fire. So he's been let go off to free agency. I'd be very surprised if a team picks him up on an NHL contract that's not a two-way. Now this one is interesting. Mark Jankowski of the Flames. 2 decent-ish seasons for a young talent. 25 points and then 32, so definitely got progression in 79 games. And then last season, in 56 games, had 7 points. It was a real part of why the Flames were struggling in long patches of the season was because they couldn't get scoring from players like him. So they've moved on from him, but I don't think he is going to be making a huge clip if it went to that. So I'm surprised they didn't keep him or try to move him for some sort of a piece. Expect him to get a deal. Someone will definitely take a chance on him because I don't think it's going to be super expensive. And his upside is, could be still a 40-point player, although he is getting around 26. So, Brett Ritchie, he's off. Obviously, Boston Bruin. He never really worked out at the Stars. Never really made his potential at all. He got 24 points one season, didn't do much else. Bruins had him for a year, played 7 games, 6 points. Thanks. Off to the free agents with you, probably getting a 2-way. Brendan Gaunts, some people may remember him from a few NHL franchise modes ago. He actually worked out to be something in the league. Just never really has amounted to much. 118 games, 16 points for a forward. Ooh, woof. So yeah, I can't expect him getting very much when it comes to free agency time. But again, I said I would make a complete list and go through them all, so here we are. And then this one's sad for a Penguins fan, Derrick Pugliard. Remember him? When they traded Jordan Staal and got him, and we're like, oh, this is going to be so good, and then just nothing. Yeah, well, nothing indeed. Yeah, so he's off. He got a bit of airtime at the Vancouver Canucks. Barely played at all with the St. Louis Blues. He managed to get 2 games, mostly in the AHL, and that's where I expect he will stay. Now for the goalies. There aren't any amazing, sexy names on this list, but I did say I would do every single RFA, so here we go. Matt Robson from the Wild is probably one of the higher touted ones that are going to a UFA, mostly because he was at 900, above 900 save percentage in the AHL. Still has a bit to go, but in college and whatnot, he was getting 930s, so might be something there if you want to put in the time and see if there is anything there. So I wouldn't be surprised if a team does take a bit of a chance on him, obviously with an AHL. Andrew Shortridge, yeah, not a surprise here. Not really done much. Again, a lot of these goalies are going to be like, who the hell is that? Went back to the ECHL this year after breaking into the AHL 2 seasons ago. Played 14 games in the A this year and got 800. You got a .862 save percentage. Started to put okay numbers in the ECHL, but it's the ECHL. You never know. Some goalies can come back from this, but yeah, he's probably not getting an NHL deal. Angus Redmond, not a surprise here. He's been in the ECHL consistently since 2017-18. Played 2 games in the AHL due to injury, but yeah, never really broke into that sort of league. So if you can't even break in the A, you're not getting a qualifying offer. Callum Booth, same thing. Went straight into the ECHL, straight out of junior, and never really broke in the AHL for any more than a few games. So yeah, again, same thing, completely understand. And he was with I think it was Florida Panthers? No, Carolina Hurricanes fame. We got our first AHL playing goaltender in Landon Bowe. He played 2 games for the Dallas Stars. Back in the AHL last year, couldn't get over a 900 save percentage. Was their mainstay goalie butt, so he seems to have been there for a while now, since 16, and just never really been able to break any sort of mold or get over a 900 save percentage in the AHL at any point in time. So yeah, I can't see many teams going at this, maybe as an AHL goalie, but he's probably off to the E if he doesn't retire. Felipe Desararos, I don't know how to say that name. That's ridiculous, that name. Look at his stats. He's not too bad. He played 29 games in the AHL and had a .916 save percentage. And last year played 23 games with a .910. So just looks like he hasn't got a chance in the AHL at all. But maybe just teams don't see him as a full-time goalie. But yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if he gets a deal. And last but not least, Nick Snyder of the Calgary Flames. Again, same deal as we've heard with a lot of these players. Never really broke into the AHL. He's played 20 games total over 5 years. Most of the time is in the ECHL, and that's been pretty much him, and just never really done too much in that. Just very up and down by the looks of it too. A lot of 800s in there. So yeah. Anyway, that is every single unqualified player and or goalie that is going to UFA. So I hope this video helped as a resource, because like I said, I couldn't find it anywhere. So I had to literally go through it manually and find it all. Thankfully Cap Friendly was a real friend during this, because it took a bit to find a way to sort it, but yeah, and again, it was manual. But I found a way of getting most of these, and I had to find a few others, but yeah. Anyway, guys, if you did like this video, I would appreciate a like. If you made it all this way and you heard me talk about goalies that you've never heard of in your life, and you haven't subscribed, just hit it. Hit the button. At this point, you'd listen to some of the goaltenders that you've never heard of in your life. You're much of a nerd as I am. Hit the subscribe button. It really does help us out. We're up to 243 now. It's been really crazy lately, so I'm curious how this video does. I think this video is either going to get 4 views, or I'll just wake up in the morning and I'll have a couple of hundred. But yeah. Anyway, guys, yeah, more videos to come. I think that's it for the night. So we'll see. There'll obviously be videos in the morning once I wake up again because I'm in Australia. So I think there might be a lull here of about 8 hours. So if any news happens, there might be a video after that. NHL 21's coming out very shortly in the next few hours. So that's very exciting as well. But yeah, thank you so much for watching. If you think your team should pick up any of these players, put that in the comments down below. But yeah, and yeah, if you know anyone that's interested in sort of who's not been qualified, just yeah, let me know. Just let them know that this video exists and they can go watch it. But yeah, thank you so much for watching. Have a great day. See you, and bye.